mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 1 of AMC's Interview with the Vampire, entitled, What Can the Damned Really Say to the Damned? So, despite the fact that I have no coverage of Season 1 here on the channel, I liked Season 1 a lot. Like, I watched it way after the fact, which is why I don't have any coverage on the channel, but it did make my honorable mentions for the best of 2022, which I believe there is a video for on the channel. But there was a lot to like about this show. All three lead actors I thought were great, including the young woman playing Claudia that got recast for this season. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the real standout aspect of the show to me was the production design. The locations looked amazing and they felt authentic. Authentic for the location in the world and the time period. Even just the episode titles and how they were presented was dope. Like I just thought the presentation of this show I thought was really good. That may feel like something that's not that important to most people, but when that kind of thing is done well, it makes it easier, a lot easier, for the show to keep you locked in. Like this is an extreme example of this extreme example that could never ever happen. But imagine if you were watching a show and that was shot in like a different time period, and you saw a Starbucks cup in the shot. Think about how much that would take you out of the scene and remind you that it is not actually the time period that show takes place in. Again, a completely imaginary scenario. My point is that the more real the shit feels, the easier it is for the viewer to get engrossed. And that's what any creator of a show or a film should want. So while I enjoyed Season 1 quite a bit, it didn't make my top 10, but like I said, it was an honorable mention and a high-ranking one at that. Given that 2024 has gotten off to somewhat of a subpar start, in my opinion, a Season 2 of equal quality could be vying for a top 10 spot this year. So I was excited for this new season, not to forget that it could be better. But before I talk about this episode, let's quickly address the elephant in the room regarding the show's cast. The actress who played Claudia in Season 1 was recast for this season, presumably, from what I read, due to the original actress's commitment to the Avatar franchise. This was kind of a big deal to me because I thought she was the standout of Season 1, and I thought it would be next to impossible to fill that actress's shoes. It was such a unique performance in character. But the show makes an interesting decision in deciding to address that head on at the start of this first episode with a title card that lets us know that the character has been recast. And I liked that decision, the decision to tell us and put it out there up front. Recasting characters without saying anything can make for a large adjustment time for the viewer before they realize that a new person is playing an already known character. I think the best example of this, well, the best examples, plural, come from Game of Thrones. So you all know the Mountain, right? We all know the Mountain. Well, the guy you're picturing when I said the Mountain, that was the third motherfucker to play the Mountain on that show. That's right, the third one. They also recast Dario, which is a lot. Dario was easier to cast because Dario was once Dario was originally introduced, he was kind of consistently on the show. So when they changed the person, they changed how he looked dramatically, and they still referred to him as Dario. We're like, oh, okay. But the Mountain wasn't in the show that much prior to the third person who was cast in that role. So it's easier to miss that one. But the point remains, 3 different people played the Mountain on that show, and I'm willing to bet you guys didn't know about the first 2. So letting us know up front that Claudia was recast solves for this, but it also, I think, kind of heightens your sensitivity to the differences between the 2 actors. Like, they could have been doing a disservice to the new actress by calling attention to it. But having said that, ultimately, it didn't matter what the fuck they did because I thought the new actress is virtually indistinguishable from the previous one. She's that good. And I didn't mean that, like, in looks, like in appearance. That's the biggest difference. No, that's the only real difference is that they look different, and they look slightly different. Like, the difference between the 2 in appearance it's barely noticeable. Like, the new actress, she brings the same kind of like youthful innocence, but also youthful exuberance and excitement and naivete, but she also brings, like I said, that recklessness and that violence. But the Claudia character, she sounds the same, she behaves the same, she, again, damn near looks the same. I'd go so far as to say that if they hadn't said anything at all and hadn't put that little note up on the screen about the recasting, people might not have even known it was a different actress. That's how good of a job they did recasting Claudia. So kudos to them, because I was really worried about that. But if you were worried about the drop off, and like I was about Claudia, lay those fears to rest. No drop off at all. Claudia's great. But is there a drop off in quality in the show? I'm also gonna say no. This was a solid premiere episode that it isn't perfect, but neither was season 1, which is why it was an honorable mention and not in the top 10. This is still a really entertaining, easy watch. The season 2 plot is already off to a pretty compelling start. So, but let's talk about it. And I want to start with the title real quick. What can the damned really say to the damned? So all the titles on this show are pulled from the novels, and this line is spoken in the episode prior to Louie and Claudia going to meet with an old world vampire named... I don't remember her name. I do, but I don't. Like, I have it written down in my notes, but it has like a weird spelling with a weird pronunciation that I'm not 100% sure on, so that's why I can't recall it. But they go to meet with this old world vampire. I like the double meaning here of this title too, though, because a theme that was prevalent during this entire episode was the disconnect that was created between Louie and Claudia in the time spent between the end of season 1 and right now. So while that line is literally spoken in the episode about someone else, it feels like when you apply that to the episode as a whole via the title, it speaks more to the relationship between Claudia and Louie than it does anything else. Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today, Mike's Musings where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD where you can commission me to watch a show which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there since it's the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not going to lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. So anyway, we pick up years after the events of the season 1 finale, and Louie and Claudia, like I alluded to a moment ago, they're not getting along. She resents him for not burning Lestat, but also for carrying him in his heart still. Lestat told him in season 1 that most vampires were dead, but there were still a few around the world, and Claudia wants to find some that aren't assholes, like Louie and Lestat, according to her. Well, she didn't call them assholes. She said something much nicer than that. But it was still meant to be assholes. So this brings them to a war-torn town. War-torn town. Things look a lot better in your notes when they're written in text than they do when you're trying to say them. I didn't look at that and I think that's going to be hard to say. But a war-torn town, there we go, in Romania at the end of World War II. This portion of the episode, the stuff that takes place in Romania, best parts of the episode. This is definitely the strongest piece, which is tougher than to pull off when you're simultaneously trying to catch the audience up on what they missed. So continuing to make that stuff compelling while catching us up, they did a great job with that in the Romania scenes. There's a great scene early on where Claudia attacks a soldier and throws his heart to Louie, and we learn a lot about what we missed during these years since the events of the season 1 finale that kind of fill us in on the present day dynamic between Louie and Claudia. As they walk into this Romanian town, they see soldiers shooting at dead bodies in coffins. They see people wearing garlic around their necks. They see crosses hanging on the front doors of houses. This obviously excites Claudia, as this means there are certainly vampires here, right? Like, I mean, they're shooting at dead bodies. Why would you do that unless you think they're going to come back? Why are you wearing a garlic necklace? Why would you do that unless you think there's vampires? But Louie isn't so sure. He's not so sure that this isn't also a baboon with fangs. Which was simultaneously funny, but also irritating. Like, funny in not a good way, like, oh, they made a joke. Funny in, like funny how I'm laughing at it now, which is kind of in a like, with derision. But, I said the show's not without its flaws, and one of the things that I hate most in film and television is when there are massive amounts of evidence that point to a conclusion. And everybody reaches that conclusion based on the mountains of evidence that exists to support that conclusion. But there's still that one stubborn, bullheaded, pig-headed character that's just like, nope, that's not what's going on. With no good reason and just to maintain conflict within the plot. Like, I hate that shit, and that's what that was. So that's why I didn't like it. Like, oh, it could be a baboon with fat. No, motherfucker, it ain't a baboon. like don't make characters be stupid in specific moments just to get the story where you want it to go. Don't betray the characters to do that. So for two vampires to arrive in a town and see all that kind of shit, dead bodies getting shot, garlic, crosses, and have one of the vampires go, probably a baboon. that irritated me. But the difference here is that I don't think Louie actually believes it was a baboon. He just didn't want to believe it was a vampire, and he's kind of like, living in denial is his way of keeping Claudia safe, I think, from his perspective. Louie also goes through a lot, hallucinating, seeing Lestat. Lestat, who's saying he's only waiting for Louie to be happy before he kills him. I thought that was a great line. I haven't read the book, but I'm going to assume Lestat isn't fully dead and actually is going to come back, and it's not going to be hallucinations all season, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's not to say that if it is hallucinations all season, I'm going to be disappointed. I might not be, we'll see, but I do want Lestat to return. They run into a woman named Amelia who takes Lestat and Claudia to what seems something of a group home almost. I'm not sure what that place was meant to be. There was a lot of people in there. But it's meant to keep vampires out. They got all kinds, like I think she said they got like a metal door and like all kinds of other shit. But that's where we meet her and her partner Morgan. They don't get along with the remaining soldiers in town. Amelia gives a great parting shot to one of them. What's a phrase for that? Oh man, there's a phrase for a great parting shot. It's based on like a Roman. I don't know. It starts with a P too. Fuck, I'm not gonna remember. But she gives a great parting shot to one of these soldiers as they leave. She's like, "Your flesh will feed our soil. Your bones will whiten our land." God damn. Oh, she says it in Romanian so that he won't understand it, and he just kind of looks like, yeah. But I thought, man, your bones will whiten our land. That is insane. What a threat. Like if somebody told me that, I'm immediately hopping on a plane. Anyway. This scene also toys around with Louie's inability to accurately remember the past, as he's really bullish regarding whether or not Claudia was present for Amelia talking about what might be in the woods. This sequence of scenes ends in phenomenal fashion, where Amelia is later brought back in the building after having been bitten outside. Claudia immediately turns around and just leaves because she's like, this is proof enough for me. I know that there's a vampire in the woods. Let's go get down to business and meet this motherfucker. Everyone else in the room arrives at the determination that Amelia was bitten by a vampire when the bandage is removed from her neck and they could see, two teeth marks. Since Amelia's been bitten, someone says the only viable, someone says, like it's just someone, like you don't see the person, you just hear it in the background. Someone says the only viable course of action is to chop her head off. And as Morgan begs Louie to step in, which, again, what the fuck was Louie gonna do? We see Louie ignore this guy Morgan's cries, and he leaves as they bring the axe down on his wife's neck, and it was some sick shit. They don't show it, but, him turning away, just like, nah, I'm not... They have him narrate something about, not meddling in human affairs. It was some pretty sick shit. So Claudia eventually does cross paths with the vampire, but it doesn't look like them. It looks like a catfish with teeth, according to Louie, which, again, I thought kind of a weird line more so than a funny one. I don't know. I didn't look at that. That's like looking at a zombie and going, that looks like a catfish. No, it doesn't. And can't catfish bite? I don't know. Anyway, this vampire looks more like a zombie, like I said. And when they later, they lay out like an injured human as bait for this thing to lure it, they immediately have to kill it, much to the chagrin of its maker, who tries to kill them. And I didn't like this scene either. These are small gripes, but this was kind of weird to me too. So Claudia and Louie were attempting to talk to this thing. Just like, hey, yo, we're cool. We're vampires. You're vampires. We just trying to hang out, meet each other. Maybe we can go out for a drink. Whatever. Have some wine that looks like blood. Have blood that looks like wine. Whatever. But everything's going on pretty calmly. And then the Maker jumps out of nowhere and attacks Louie. And then in the ensuing fight, Claudia rips the eyes off of the original vampire zombie. And then the woman tries to guilt Claudia about it, talking about, oh, he's just a child. How is he supposed to hunt now? And I'm like, how you supposed to make me feel bad? Like, I don't know if that's supposed to be funny or not, but that scene kind of took me out of the episode. Like, don't sneak attack them and then make them feel guilty for their response. Like, and again, not a big deal. I'm laughing about it, but it's just something that took me out of the episode. And when you have a show like this, that I think it's meant to be engrossing, it's meant to be captivating, you gotta limit these things that take me out of the episode. And having somebody be like, you killed my baby. A vampire, like, you killed my baby. Like, you attacked me. Like, it was a weird scene. Just like, I keep wanting to call him Jacob because that's his actual name. But just like Louie saying, what was the thing I just said that Louie said that was weird? Whatever the fuck that was. Oh, now I'm mad that I don't remember. The catfish with teeth. Wait, that's what I was thinking of, right? It doesn't matter. You guys get the point. Like I said, not a big deal, but you want to limit these kind of things that take me out of the episode. So they follow this woman back to her home where she's attempting to make several vampire children unsuccessfully. She's like dripping her blood into their mouths and shit. So Louie tells her his theory about bad blood and how all these people have bad blood just out of despair from being around World War II and all the shit that surrounds that. And she agrees to go with them to get nice, clean blood and regain her youth and vitality in America. And then she jumps in the fire and kills herself. And then they fuck off to Paris. And I'm just like... And again, not another... It's another not a huge deal kind of gripe, but you're doing a lot of great stuff. Why'd you make that decision? That was just, again, weird. Like, it's not a huge error or anything like that or something they did wrong. It just struck me. Like, she didn't foreshadow wanting to end it all. She's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to come with y'all. My name, I have her name here, is Daciana. That was her name. My name's Daciana. What's your name? I'm Louie. I'm Claudia. Cool. Never mind. Fuck it. And just jumps in the fire. Like, I don't know. That was just weird. Like, you agreed to go with them, and then you're just like, fuck it. But before I wrap up, two things I want to talk about before I end this video. We, of course, have to talk about the present-day plot line where Louie is talking to this reporter named Daniel Malloy. Met him in season 1. This is the backdrop for the entire series. Louie telling this reporter about this investigative reporter about the events that we've seen on the screen. But there's a constant question looming over the entire interview because Daniel's claimed that Louie's versions of events has changed over time, and Louie has questioned his own memory and his own recall. And these interview scenes in present day, this aspect of the show is giving me issues that I can't overlook as easily as Amelia giving Claudia shit for killing the vampire that she made. Like, I think a lot of these scenes are just strangely edited. Like, I consistently feel like I missed something every time I watch one of these interview scenes. Like, did I miss a previous scene? Like, there's a scene where Louie gets incredibly moved talking about Claudia's ability to dream. And I feel like they did an absolutely terrible job of making me understand why Louie would be moved to that degree. Like, too little time is spent on dreaming versus not dreaming, or inability to dream versus ability to dream, and what that means to Louie. Way too little time is spent on that to justify Jacob Anderson taking that scene to that level. Like, that felt like way too much and was very, like, I don't want to say off-putting, but like, again, it made me like rewind almost. Like, did I miss something that's gonna make me understand why he's this moved by this? Like, he's crying like Claudia just, like, sent him a message from beyond the grave or some shit. Like, I'm okay, don't cry for me. Not like he just realized that she could dream. Like, I don't know. It's again, weird. I also thought the scene where Armand and Louie agree collectively to talk to Malloy on the record was weird, too. Like, Louie walks into the room with Armand. He's like, they're sitting down. He's like, you have our attention. That sounds to me like we're ready to listen to what you have to say. Then Malloy is like, on the record? And I'm like, wait, what? Like, that was a needlessly confusing way to word that. Like, you have our attention sounds like you're about to listen, which is the complete opposite of what he actually seemed to mean, which was, we're ready to talk to you. Like, that's complete opposite things. And that threw me off a lot too. Like, all of these moments I cited that threw me off, I rewound each of them like, did I miss something that would have made that make more sense? And guys, I'm flawed. I maybe did miss something that would have made those things work a little bit more for me. But every time I rewound it, I'm like, nope, that was still really weird. And these things may seem like nitpicks, but I've said on this channel before, these little things that take me out of episodes and make me rewind it or question if I missed something, these are the things that the best shows don't do. These are the things that make the difference between a good show and a great one. Having said that, though, I still really enjoy this episode and this show. It's not perfect, but it's fun, it's exciting, it's violent, it's beautiful to look at, it's a fairly easy watch. The plot for this season is captivating. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in Paris. I'm looking forward to hopefully Lestat reconnecting with them. Like, I don't even really know where this is going to go now, because I thought this Romania thing and her looking for other vampires was going to be like maybe not the whole season, but more than one episode. Now they're in a completely different country. It kind of feels like episode 2 might be like a second premiere almost. Like, it might set up the remaining episodes. And I believe this is an 8-episode season, by the way. Like, the second episode might just set up the other 7. I mean, that one and the following 6. Whereas this one was kind of like a bridge almost. So I don't know. But I intend to cover the entire season. I do richly enjoy this show. And I do expect these little nitpicks to tighten up. And again, they are just little nitpicks and not things that make me go, they're doing this wrong. But let me know what you thought in the comments. And I will see you guys next week for episode 2. And until then, peace.